വോളണ്ടിയർ തന്നെയായിട്ടുള്ള സെന്തിൽ പറയുന്നതായിരിക്കും. സെന്തിൽ കേൾക്കാമോ? എന്തിനുണ്ടോ അവിടെ?
സെന്തിലുണ്ടല്ലോ.
ഓഡിബിൾ അല്ല അല്ലേ
സെന്തിൽ? സെന്തിൽ ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നല്ലോ.
ഉണ്ട്, പുള്ളി ഉണ്ട്. കേൾക്കത്തില്ല, പുള്ളി പറയുന്നത് സംസാരം കേൾക്കുന്നില്ല.
സെന്തിൽ?
കേൾക്കുന്നില്ല.
Hello, Sandil. Hello. Rahul.
Okay, no, sir.
Shiva, kekam.
Sandil, kekalo.
Shiva, am I audible?
Yes, audible. Carry on, please.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah, please.
So, good evening once again to all. I am sorry for the slow and this delay in starting. Basically, what happened? I should say, welcome to our Mr. Sri Sujith Gopalan, conservation biologist. He's actually a very passionate man about wildlife as well as about animal behavior also. In fact, his many trips
Good evening.
Western Ghats as well as these chances has given him a lot of experience in wildlife, in very close quarters, as well as to understand them more. In fact, he is very much interested in various faunal groups like the odonates, birds, butterflies, and reptiles also. His research is basically targeted, focusing on diversity mapping and the population genetics of anurans, that is frogs of the Western Ghats. Mr. Sujith has done his schooling at the Kendriya Vidyalaya in Calicut, his BSc at St. Joseph's College, and the MSc from Annamalai University. He is trained in herpetology at the DST Herpetology School, Dehradun, and he started his career as a lecturer in Department of Zoology in St. Joseph's College, Kozhikode. Since 2008, he has been as a research fellow and associate at various colleges like the Rajiv Gandhi Institute Center for Biotechnology, Kerala State Biodiversity Board, as well as the University College of Trivandrum, where he has completed his PhD. He has received many best paper research awards during his career of 12 years. He is also a conservation biologist for various NGOs and government departments for the faunal diversity. As far as his engagement with WWF is concerned, he is also an expert consultant as well as a biodiversity consultant for WWF. He is a conservation biologist for the Society for Ordinate Studies, and he has taken part as team leader in bird race, Asian waterfowl census, and Kerala Bird Atlas in 2018. He has also coordinated and designed the Butterfly Survey and Odonata Survey at Periyar Tiger Reserve and the Silent Valley National Park, Karimbura Wildlife Sanctuary, Varachal Forest Division, and Paramikulam Tiger Reserve. So with all this rich biodata, I would like to invite Mr. Sujith V. Gopalan to take the floor today. Mr. Sujith?
Yeah, hope I'm audible to everyone. Thanks, Sanjay. I think I took some time to get this delivered because and it's nice that you gave me a good introduction. Thanks very much. Yeah, basically I'm given a topic. Actually, this has been my research topic since 2008. I've been working on herpetology, especially on anurans. At Rajiv Gandhi Center, I started my research in IOS, but it's first time I'm delivering a talk which is not scientific. Like it's a more like we are going to have common audience rather than a research audience, because I never spoke like I took a class in a ordinates or I never spoke on amphibians or anurans as such. So it's my first trial today, as if I'm going to start a session on my favorite organisms which took me into deeper research. So I'm trying to share some of my experience and trying to introduce some props to you. Especially Mr. Shivakumar asked me to focus on urban diversity of anurans and all. Let's see what is it. Let me know if my screen is not visible or something like that. Hope my screen is visible to all.
Yes, it is visible.
Somewhere else. I need to go to the front page. Yeah. So I'm starting with this was the topic given to me. So I put the topic as such. It is wildlife because crops are the organisms which crops. ഇത് എന്താ പറയാ നമുക്ക് ഇവിടെ വെച്ച് തുടങ്ങാം. നമ്മളിപ്പോ എപ്പോഴും പറയുമ്പോൾ ഒരു ജനറൽ ഇൻട്രൊഡക്ഷൻ ആണല്ലോ എന്താണെന്നെ പറ്റി പറയാൻ പോകുന്നത്. Can everybody mute your audio because I get distracted?
Sir,
Tell me. Okay. So frogs are part of a big group called amphibians. Amphibians എന്താണെന്ന് ചോദിച്ചു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ amphibians നമ്മൾ ചെറുപ്പത്തിലെ സ്കൂളിലൊക്കെ പഠിച്ചു തുടങ്ങുമ്പോൾ നമുക്കറിയാം amphibiansനെ പറ്റി നമ്മൾ പറയുമ്പോൾ പറയും എന്താണ് കരയിലും വെള്ളത്തിലും ഒരുമാതിരി ജീവിക്കുന്ന ജീവിയാണ് amphibians എന്നാണ് പലപ്പോഴും ടീച്ചർമാർ നമ്മൾ പഠിച്ചത്. അപ്പം അതിനൊരു ഡബിൾ ലൈഫാണ്. ശരിക്കും അങ്ങനെയല്ല. കാരണം ഒരു ഹാഫ് ഓഫ് ദ ലൈഫ് സൈക്കിൾ, 1/2 ഓഫ് ദ ലൈഫ് സൈക്കിൾ ഓഫ് ദ amphibian is in water, another half is on land. അതാണ് അതിന്റെ ഡബിൾ ലൈഫ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. അപ്പം ഇറ്റ്സ് എൻ ഇൻഡിക്കേറ്റർ ഓഫ് ബോത്ത് മീഡിയംസ്, വെള്ളത്തിന്റെയും കരയിലെയും അതിന്റെ മാറുന്ന ആവാസ വ്യവസ്ഥയ്ക്കുള്ള ഒരു ഇൻഡിക്കേറ്റർ കൂടിയാണ് amphibians. പിന്നെ amphibiansന്റെ ഒരു പ്രത്യേകത എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ നേരെ ഡസന്റ് ഗിവ് ബർത്ത് ഡയറക്ട്ലി. അപ്പം എന്താണ് ഒരു മെറ്റമോർഫോസിസ് ഇൻവോൾവ് ആയിരുന്നു. മുട്ടയിടും, മുട്ടയിൽ നിന്ന് ഒരു ടാഡ്പോൾ എമേർജ് ചെയ്യും. ടാഡ്പോൾ അതിന്റെ ഒരു വളർച്ച ആവുമ്പോഴാണ് അത് ടെയിൽ ഉപേക്ഷിച്ചിട്ട് ആംഫിബിയനായി മാറുന്നത്. അങ്ങനെയാണ് ആംഫിബിയൻ മെറ്റമോർഫോസിസ് നടക്കുന്നത്. എല്ലാ ആംഫിബിയൻസിലും ഇതല്ല. നിങ്ങൾക്ക് എല്ലാവർക്കും അറിയാം, ബയോളജി സയൻസ് എക്സെപ്ഷൻ നമ്മൾ പറയുന്നത്. ഇതെടുത്ത് നോക്കിയാലും അതിൽ എക്സെപ്ഷൻ ഉണ്ട്. അപ്പൊ നമ്മുടെ സ്പീഷീസ് കൺസെപ്റ്റിൽ വരെ എക്സെപ്ഷൻസ് ഉണ്ട്. നിങ്ങൾക്കറിയാം മുട്ടയിടുന്ന പാമ്പുകളുണ്ട്, അല്ല മുട്ടയിടുന്ന മാമൽസ് ഉണ്ട്, അതൊരു എക്സെപ്ഷൻ ആണ്. അങ്ങനെ എല്ലാത്തിലും ഒരു എക്സെപ്ഷൻ എന്ന മാതിരി ഇതിൻ്റെ അകത്ത് എല്ലാത്തിലും ഒരു എക്സെപ്ഷൻ ഉണ്ട്. പിന്നെ കോൾഡ് ബ്ലഡഡ് അനിമൽസ് ആണ്. ഇവർക്ക് സ്വന്തമായിട്ട് ബോഡിയിൽ ചൂട് ഉത്പാദിപ്പിക്കാനുള്ള കഴിവില്ല. സ്മൂത്ത് മോയിസ്റ്റ് സ്കിന്നാണ്. സ്കിന്നിലൂടെ റെസ്പയർ ചെയ്യാൻ കഴിവുള്ള അനിമൽസ് ആണ്. വെബ്ഡ് ഫീറ്റ് ആണ്. ചിലതിനൊക്കെ ക്ലോസും ഉണ്ട്. അപ്പൊ ഇതാണ് ഒരു ജനറൽ ആംഫിബിയനെ പറ്റിയിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു ജനറൽ ആയിട്ടുള്ള കാര്യം. ആംഫിബിയൻസ് എന്ന് പറയുമ്പോൾ എന്തൊക്കെ ഇൻക്ലൂഡഡ് ആണെന്നുള്ളതാണ് നമ്മൾ ആദ്യം നോക്കേണ്ടത്. ആംഫിബിയൻസിലെ 3 സാധനങ്ങളാണ് ബേസിക് ഇൻവോൾവ് ആയിട്ടുള്ളത്. ഒന്ന് ജിംനോഫിയ അല്ലെ അപ്പോഡ എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്, ഇത് ഒരു ഗ്രൂപ്പാണ്. യൂറേഡില അല്ലെ കോഡേറ്റ, സേലിന്റെ അനൂറ, ഈ 3 ഗ്രൂപ്പാണ് ആംഫിബിയൻസ് ഇൻക്ലൂഡ് ചെയ്തിട്ടുള്ളത്. അപ്പം അതെന്തൊക്കെയാണ് നമുക്ക് ഡീറ്റെയിൽ ആയിട്ട് നോക്കാം. ഇതാണ് ജിംനോഫിയ എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. ഇത് കണ്ടു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ അത് പാമ്പല്ലേ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ എർത്തുവം അല്ലേ എന്നൊക്കെ തോന്നില്ല. ദിസ് ഇസ് ആൻ ആംഫിബിയൻ. ഇതിന്റെ പേരാണ് സിസിലിയൻസ് എന്നാണ് ഇതിന് നമ്മൾ പറയുന്നത്. അപ്പം ഇതിന്റെ പേരിനൊരു പ്രത്യേകത ഉണ്ട്. എന്തുകൊണ്ടാണ് ഈ പേര് കൊടുത്തതെന്നുള്ളതിനൊക്കെ ഒരു കാരണമുണ്ട്. കാരണം വെച്ചാൽ ജിംനോസ് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ നേക്കഡ് എന്നാണ് അർത്ഥം. നേക്കഡ് സ്കിന്നുള്ള സ്നേക്ക് ലൈക്കുള്ളതിനാണ് അതിനാണ് ജിംനോഫിയ അല്ലെ അപ്പോള എന്ന് പറയാൻ കാരണം. സിസിലിയൻസ് ആർ ആക്ച്വലി ആംഫിബിയൻസ്. നമ്മളെ കേരളത്തിൽ തന്നെ ഒരുപാട് സിസിലിയൻസ് ഡിസ്ക്രൈബ് ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ട്. അപ്പം ഇത് ലെഗ്ലെസ് ആംഫിബിയൻസ് ആണ്. ലെഗ്ലെസ് ആണ് ഇവർക്ക്, പക്ഷെ ബാക്കി എല്ലാ ഫീച്ചറും ആംഫിബിയൻ ആയിട്ട് ഷെയർ ചെയ്യുന്ന ഓർഗാനിസം ആണ് സിസിലിയൻസ്. ഓക്കെ, അടുത്ത യൂറോയിഡല്ല. ഇതിനെ കാണുമ്പോൾ നമുക്ക് സംശയം തോന്നും ഇതൊരു എന്താണ്, ഇതൊരു ലിസാർഡാണോ, പല്ലിയാണോ, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഒരു അരണയാണോ, അങ്ങനെയൊക്കെ തോന്നുന്നുണ്ട്. പക്ഷേ ദിസ് ഇസ് ഓൾസോ ആൻ ആംഫീബിയൻ. യൂറോഡില്ല അല്ലെ കോഡേറ്റ എന്ന് പറയുന്നതാണ്. അങ്ങനെ പറയാൻ കാരണം വെച്ചാൽ വാലുണ്ട് എന്നുള്ളൊരു അർത്ഥം. അപ്പം ഇതിന് വാലുണ്ട്, കാലുണ്ട്. അപ്പം സലമാൻഡേഴ്സ്, ന്യൂട്സ് ഒക്കെയാണ് യൂറോഡില്ലയിൽ ഉൾപ്പെടുത്തിയിരിക്കുന്നത്. ഇപ്പം നമുക്ക് കേരളത്തിലെ ഒരു സിനാരിയോ നോക്കുവാണെങ്കിൽ കേരളത്തിൽ സലമാൻഡേഴ്സോ ന്യൂട്സോ ഒന്നും റിപ്പോർട്ട് ചെയ്തിട്ടില്ല. പക്ഷേ ഇന്ത്യയിൽ 2 ഇനം ന്യൂട്സ് നമുക്ക് ഹിമാലയാസ് റിപ്പോർട്ട് ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ട്. അതർവൈസ് വി ഡോണ്ട് ഹാവ് ഹൈ ഓൾട്ടിറ്റ്യൂഡ്സിലാണ് മിക്കവാറും ഇവയൊക്കെ കാണുന്നുണ്ട്. നമുക്ക് കേരളത്തിലും മറ്റു സ്ഥലങ്ങളിലൊന്നുമില്ല. നോർത്തേൺ ഹിമാലയസിൽ മാത്രമേ ഇവർ റിപ്പോർട്ട് ചെയ്തിട്ടുള്ളൂ. മൂന്നാമതാണ് നമ്മുടെ ഫോക്കസിംഗ് ഗ്രൂപ്പ്, ഇസ് കോൾഡ് ആസ് സെലേന്റിയ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ അനൂറ എന്ന് പറയുന്ന സാധനം. വിത്തൗട്ട്, വാലില്ലാത്തവ എന്ന അർത്ഥത്തിലാണ് ഇതിന് അനൂറ എന്നുള്ള പേരിടാൻ കാരണം. വിത്തൗട്ട്. അപ്പൊ ഇതിന്റെ അകത്താണ് ഫ്രോഗ്സ്, ടോഡ്സ് എന്ന 2 വിഭാഗങ്ങൾ വരും. അനൂറൻസ് ഫ്രോഗ് എന്ന 2 വിഭാഗം വരുന്നത്. എനിക്കിപ്പം ഈ ഫ്രോഗിനെ കണ്ടറിയാം അല്ലേ, ദിസ് ഇസ് എ ഫ്രോഗ്. ഇത് ഇപ്പം എല്ലാവർക്കും ഐ ജസ്റ്റ് വാണ്ട് ടു ഈ ഒരു ക്ലാസ് ചെയ്യുമ്പോൾ എനിക്കൊരു ചോദ്യം അവസാനമായി ചോദിക്കാണ്ട്. എനിക്കറിയാം പല ആൾക്കാരും ഈ ഫ്രോഗ്സിനെ കാണുമ്പോൾ അറപ്പോടെ അല്പം ഒരു ഭീതിയോടെയൊക്കെ കാണുന്നത്. പലർക്കും അറപ്പാണ്. പലരും ഫ്രോഗ് എന്ന് പറയുമ്പോൾ ഓൾവേസ് ദ കൺസെപ്റ്റ് കംസ് അപ്പ് ഈസ് ആൻ അഗ്ലി. ബട്ട് ആഫ്റ്റർ ദിസ് ഐ വിൽ ആസ്ക് പറയാം, കേൾക്കാവോ?
ഒത്തിരി നോൺ മലയാളീസ് ഉണ്ട്. അപ്പോ അതോടെ അവരെ കൊണ്ട് കൺസിഡർ ചെയ്തോളണേ.
Okay, അപ്പം ഇംഗ്ലീഷ് തന്നെ. അപ്പം this is the thing that most people think that frogs are actually ugly എന്നുള്ളൊരു കൺസെപ്റ്റ് ആണ്. People think the frogs are ugly actually, but I just want to give you a shade of perspective of that. This is also a class for that. So we are jumping into anuran diversity, but where are people coming in, I'm trying to focus on Kerala because otherwise the subject will go into a broader sense. So I'm trying to focus on Kerala area. World, when you take in the world concept, we have 8,220 species of amphibians in the world in average to date recorded on. When you take in the scenario in the world, considering world, India, Western Ghats, or in Kerala, wherever you take the scenario, 90%, almost 90% of all amphibian diversity is constituted by anurans or frogs. In the world also, 8,220 species of amphibians are there. Of that, 7,247 are anurans. When you take its consideration in India, we have 447 species of amphibians recorded from India since April. I think it is a statistics up to January 2028. And in that, 406 species of anurans, the frogs and dogs. Western Ghats, when you take up Western Ghats, Western Ghats is called as a hotspot for anuran diversity because we have high diversity of anurans here. I cannot explain a Western Ghats scenario because I have given a time period of 1 hour and it is not enough for me to speak on Western Ghats. Western Ghats, 252 species of amphibians are there. Of this, 226 species belong to anurans. When it comes to Kerala scenario, the latest reported documentation from Kerala was in 2015 by Sujith when he said we have 151 species of amphibians in Kerala. But recently, an updation has been done, and this is going to be published also. Now we have 183 species of amphibians in Western Ghats, of which 168 are anurans. So that is, this is precisely said that whatever the amphibian diversity is, the majority is contributed by frogs and toads. You may give a thought also why does frogs and toads contribute, because they can occupy. When you take a global concept, ഈ നല്ല തണുത്തുറഞ്ഞ ആർട്ടിക് ആൻഡ് അന്റാർട്ടിക് കോണ്ടിനെന്റ്സ് അല്ലാതെ rest everywhere you have presence of amphibians. അതാണ് ഏറ്റവും പ്രത്യേകത. So they occupy a diverse range of habitat, diverse range of ecosystems, microhabitat conditions. So they are capable of that. Toads. So when you take anurans has 2 different groups. One is toads and frogs. Frogs മലയാളത്തിൽ നമ്മൾ പറയില്ല ചൊരുത്തവള എന്ന് പറയുന്ന സാധനമാണ് ടോഡ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. This is a ചൊരുത്തവള actually. But one difference is that this is a breeding plumage of the frog. Normal frog, when you see it, is brown in color. This common frog called as Dataphragis melanostichus എന്ന് പറയുന്ന സാധാരണ കോമൺ ടോഡ് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞ സാധനമാണ് ഇത്. പക്ഷേ ഇത് എന്താ പറയാ, ഇത് അതിന്റെ ബ്രീഡിംഗ് സമയമാകുമ്പോൾ ഇറ്റ് ചേഞ്ചസ് ഇറ്റ് കളേഴ്സ് ടു നല്ല യെല്ലോ കളറായി മാറും. ചേഞ്ചസ് ഇറ്റ് ടു യെല്ലോ കളർ. ദിസ് ഇസ് ഓൾ ബിക്കോസ് അതിന്റെ ഒരു ബ്രീഡിംഗ് പ്ലമേജ് ആണ്. അപ്പം ഇതിന്റെ അകത്ത് നമ്മൾ പറയുവാണെങ്കിൽ വി ഹാവ് ലൈക്ക് സ്കിൻ ആണ്. ടോഡ്സിനെ കൺസിഡർ ചെയ്യുമ്പോൾ ലെതറിന്റെ സ്കിൻ ആണ്, ഡ്രൈ ആയിരിക്കും സ്കിൻ മിക്കവാറും. They have short legs and large parotid glands will be on the and the dorsal sides. When you take into Kerala scenario, we have 3 different genus representing toads in Kerala. One is Dassaphrynus, Gathophrine, and Pedostylus. Dattaphrynus is after S.K. Datta, we call him the pioneers in amphibian studies in India, an Indian who have pioneered amphibian studies in India. So Dattaphrynus is after this, and this is Dattaphrynus melanostrictus, the common Indian frog, which is widespread and distributed. This is a video. So this in a non-breeding plumage is going to change its color from brown to yellow. It looks like this. Just see, you might have heard this sound in nights. There is less than a Malayali available who have never heard a sound of frog or toad. So this is a sound of common toad, which is widely distributed in all cities and urban and rural areas. So just see, this is how it cries. When at night, when you go out, you normally hear the sound, but it takes a little bit of seasoning of yourself to get to know what species is calling from your background. And there is a condition called as mass amplexing, when one female is trying to be mated by different males. So here, this one is the female, and this is two males which are positioned on her. Normally, in all cases, amphibians, the males are smaller than the females. Here it is in water, where these are both are in amplex, and this is a phenomena where one female is being surrounded by multiple males. So this is all common toad, the Dattaphrynus melanostrictus. I will show you a video of that. This I took from Munnar, I think. See, this is happening in water. The female is being accessed by multiple males and made by multiple males. And you know the fertilization is external as always, and frogs fertilization is external. Okay, so other than Dattaphrynus, these are the other two genus of frogs in Western Ghats. Pedostylus nucrovibolus is a tree toad. This is found, normally other toads are found on ground, but this toad is found on tree. And this one is another one, Gathophrine ornata. This is found in little bit of altitude up to like 400 to above 1000, up to 1000 meters they are seen. If you, this is the dorsal view of the frog. If you just turn the frog around, you can see the fine like belly. And you all know, always everybody knows, like an animal when it tries to exhibit like the colors of bright red, green, yellows, and bright blues colors, it always gives us a signal that it is poisonous. But we don't have any poisonous frogs in Kerala. These two are not poisonous. So we are from this, we are jumping into frogs. We have fast forwards. Frogs constitute the major diversity in Kerala. Almost 159 species belong to 8 family and 24 genus are being represented in Kerala, which includes Bichkogos, and these are a bit scientific thing. But this frog might be familiar to you because this is called as chunam frog. And chunam frog comes to homes. Normally, I receive a lot of messages at times in WhatsApp and other things where people send out different images of chunam frogs that have visited their homes at night. And this is very common, very common. Polyphydatus maculatus is a scientific name. It's very common in homes in Kerala, and it is widespread, not limited to Kerala. It's not endemic to Kerala or to West Bengal. Widespread distributed anyway. So this is our first genus, and when it comes to annular frogs, this Racoporidae genus, these genus are 8 species constituted. It has some. It constitutes of 7 genus and 72 species. This family is the most contributor to the frog in Kerala. And this is one of the groups. If you check up you could see daily reports coming in papers where people report new species of frogs. Because as if all amphibian people who all pursue amphibian taxonomy believe that there are an enormous amount of diversity yet to be unearthed, because very few studies has been focused purely on complete exploration of Western Ghats. So very less studies has been focused as it. So this is a video of a common frog species. Okay, so this is a very common species of frog that is found from 0 altitude to 1000 meters, 0 to 1000 meters from sea level across Kerala, starting from Ponmudi or Trivandrum district to Coorg in the north. Up to this frog is distributed from 0 to 100 100 meters from sea level. So widely distributed frog across altitudinal gradient, and is a very common species. You can always find and hear this frogs, and we believe this is one of the commonest species in Kerala. But I don't know how many people have seen this. I know sometimes people send them that I've seen this small frog from the backyard. They send me an email and ask me what is this species. I always say that it's Pseudophilodrus vinatus, the most common species found in Kerala. Now, I request you people, because otherwise it will be too boring. I request you people to put an answer in the chat box. How many species of frogs do you see here? Can you give me a quick reply onto the chat box? How many species of frogs do you see here? Vivek Chandran says 1. Any more? We don't have time. Varun says 2. Yeah, Anushrita says 1. All the 6 species. 3. Very nice. Okay, thank you. Okay, 1, 2. So I'll just put it here. It's actually these are frogs belong to one genus called as Pseudophilodrus. These are actually 3 species of frogs, namely Pseudophilodrus vinadensis, Amboli, and Kana. These 3 frogs are very similar to each other, that it's very hard to distribute them in wild. Because only thing that helps us is the distribution range of the species, because all species found north of Pseudophilodrus range, that is after Coorg, after Wayanad, after Kannur districts, all Ambolis. All frogs found in high altitudes in Trivandrum are found. This is the only way to distribute these frogs in wild. Otherwise, you require a very seasoned eye to distribute this one. And what makes it more complicated is that here is the second answer I want to say. How many species do you see here? How many species of frogs do you see in this figure? Are they all same species? Are they different species? Just one answer, same or different. Can you guys give me an answer? Are they same or different? Same. I don't know how could you recognize it as the same species. Everybody says it is same. Different. One says different. Yeah, it's complicated actually. It's not easy to find out whether it's the same species. But actually, these are all one single species of frogs called as Pseudophilodrus vinadensis. This is a phenomena where we call as color polymorphism in Pseudophilodrus. And this is the recent publications I just sent out, where I described this frog species from whole distribution range starting from Trivandrum to Wayanad. I took up all different color morphs found in Pseudophilodrus vinadensis, and I made a molecular tree to see whether these all are same, just they have any genetical difference. They don't show any genetical difference, but they are highly different. What are the reasons for color polymorphism? Are many. They are predator responses are there. They change color to temperature variation. Many changes are there according to surroundings. They change variation. So it takes time to explain what makes color change for polymorphism. This is Pseudophilodrus vinadensis. So this, why I started looking at color polymorphism was this paper news which came some in 2009, where one of species called as Polypodus maculatus, which I early showed you, Chunam frog, was collected from Trivandrum somewhere. And this frog was kept in a container in somebody's lab. And then I think somebody's house, and this changed color. This changed color from yellow to green, I think, according to the surroundings. And its news suddenly popped up saying that color changing frogs are worshipped in India as God in India. And I wonder how, and I remember when I was in Rajiv Gandhi, some a newspaper woman called me, a media press woman called me and asked me some questions, asked me to send out some figures. But I was at the preliminary stage of my research, but I knew what this phenomenon was, but I could not send up the figure without consulting my guide, and he was abroad, and I couldn't get it. And she called up me and saying that you people are like this and all, blah, blah. But from that day, I started observing polymorphism in frogs, and it is a very useful phenomenon. So this is another frog species called as, I'll come to this. Okay. This is another frog species called Laochilus acroparallagi. Its name itself suggests, the name says that acroparallagi. Acro means extreme color variation. This frog was described in 2012, I believe, 2009. 2009 it was described, and it came with 4 different color morphs. And I collected one of the frogs, this species you see in the bottom. I collected this species. These are actually my figures, collect all from Polymorphism, Trivandrum. I collected this species, like green color. I bought this species to my lab. I put it in a container. I saw that within 10 minutes, it changed its color from green to, it was in brown in color when I collected, but it changed its color from brown to green within 10 minutes. So this is a rapid change. So I knew that you may find n number of color morphs in this species because this frog can change color very soon with respect to changing heterogeneity of its background. So that is why frogs are too interesting to study. And these are another two interesting species in the genus in the family Rhacoporidae. One is Mercurana meristica. But I explained this frog species some couple of weeks back in another webinar in WWF, where I said that this is an interesting species because apart from other frogs, these frogs breeds in pre-monsoon showers. All other frogs breeds in monsoon showers. This one breeds in pre-monsoon showers, and it is a representative of Meristica swamp. Hence its name Meristica petriflus. It is found in Meristica swamps, and it's very interesting species. It comes down, it is only seen in that particular time in the pre-monsoon summer, and only the starting of monsoon where these frogs breed, lay their eggs into Meristica swamps. When the Meristica swamps are flooded, the tadpoles emerges from the eggs and they grow up. And once the egg laying is done, these frogs climb up to these Meristica trees, and they are not seen after the egg laying. So it's a very interesting species to read well. We recently made a new publication in this species also because this species was not to be distributed only south of Tenkota Gap. But recently, we found in a recent study, we found a species from Varachal also. This paper is being accepted now. Another species is called as Raochus oclandre. This species was described in 2009, I believe. I really don't remember the date of description. And this species oclandre comes up. This word comes up because it is found in oclandre reeds. They drill hole into this oclandre reeds and lay their eggs there. And when the froglets, because I said some species like Raochus and Pseudopilotus, they don't hatch out of egg as tadpoles. They directly hatch out as froglets. Froglets are the oclandre reed, and from that the tadpoles in the froglets emerge out. And its eyes you can see because oclandre deep inside the reeds there will be no light. So all frogs which are all species which lives in dark normally has very bright star-like eyes. So this is its name also suggests that its eyes are starlight. Okay, this is another species called as Raochus nerostigona. Otherwise, people very closely know this species as raindrop frogs because this when the frog calls out, you may have seen few videos of calls calling. When the frog calls out, there sounds like dropping of water, raindrops. The sound of it sounds like raindrops, so it's called as raindrop or water frog, water droplet frog, something is common name. And it's called as nerostigona. Interesting thing is that this frog is found in high canopies of trees. They don't come down normally. They are found in high canopies of trees, and they are also called as lichen frog because you see its body has a ability to get camouflaged with the lichens on the trees. So it's also called as lichen frog. It's very difficult to spot. You have to get to know the color of the call of the frog and then track it according to the call. Rather than it's very difficult to identify with a bare eyes. Now we come up another species. This is a widespread species in lowlands. Almost these frogs represent urban life on a problem. Urbanization has actually declined the diversity of these frogs, diversity and population of these frogs in Kerala. Their genus is called as Dicroglossidae. The family is called as Dicroglossidae. There is 4 genus and 15 species from Kerala in this genus. ഈ ഫ്രോഗ് വളരെ ഫെമിലിയർ ആണ് നമുക്ക് എല്ലാവർക്കും കാരണം അറിയാം നമ്മുടെ നാട്ടിലെ ചെളിക്കുണ്ടുകളിലെല്ലാം കാണുന്ന ഒരു ഫ്രോഗാണ് യൂക്കലിപ്റ്റസ് സൈനോഫിലിപ്റ്റസ്. They are normally found in for small puddles on roadsides on our rural areas and all. And normally I remember my grandmothers used to say to me, never throw a stone at these frogs. And since my childhood I'm very familiar with one because they are all found in broad puddles and other narrow shallow lakes and streams and all. Not in streams, stagnant water bodies always. Another species is called Eucalyptus caravelli. This frog is very special, and bird watchers may often get confused with this frog because this frog cries as if our white-breasted kingfisher sound. It is very similar. The frog sounds very similar to white-breasted kingfisher sound, and its name is caravelli because it's found in Caravelli Forest. And this frog was not only known from Mangalore area, initially it was described from Mangalore, but now we understand that Recent studies from Rajiv Gandhi Center, what my colleague called Anu, he says, this paper says that is found is widespread in coastals of Trivandrum, Kollam, and all coastal areas of Trivandrum. But it's a new addition to the Kerala checklist now. Another frog is called as Spirotheca brevis. This is a burrowing frog species, and they come out in monsoon, breed, and then go out into the ground. All breeding frogs have a particularity that their tarsals, that is their hind limbs, has special tarsals where they can dig into the ground. This is another genus called cricket frogs. This is wrongly identified actually. This is a Minervaria species, Minervaria. I just copied this of this one the name. And this frog is very similar because this was food for Kerala for some time. A frog leg was used as a food here. After long, now it has been banned. This is called as Hoplobotrytis trigonus, commonly called as bullfrogs. They are found widely distributed in Kerala, found in all wetlands, able to large sizes to 35 centimeters in size, up to 30 centimeters in size. Quite big frogs, and they are invasive species also in some lands where they have been introduced because they eat anything they can. If they can swallow you, they can swallow you also because they can swallow. They are known to swallow birds, small chicks, another frogs, fishes. This even if they find small keelbacks and all, they can swallow the fish. So this is an invasive species because if they are introduced to another ecosystem, there can be very serious threat to the native frog species there. So this was Dicroclosidae. I'm going to Ranidae species. These frogs are also normally found in wetlands. They are also found in high altitude streams, less flowing streams, not fast flowing streams. They are found in there. And there are 11 species in 3 genus are represented from Kerala. One is Clinotarsus, Hydrophylax, and Indosylvirana. Normally, the introduction of molecular genetics has made species diversity more complex, more frogs, more genus, more species has been added by this. It is one way a boon, and another way for common man it is a difficulty also because they have been splitting genuses, species, families, and all with this. So this frog is called Indosylvirana doni. This was recorded from Marachal by me, and you might have heard this sound. When you go to wetlands, normally when you go to wetlands, you can get familiarized with the sound because in all Kerala wetlands there are 3 or 4 species, but still, if you go to wetlands, you could see this species from there and you can hear the sound of the species. Another species is called as Clinotarsus curticus. This species is widely distributed. If you go to Tekadi at some point of time, you can find mass migration of this species from because Tekadi Lake it is the breeding area for the species. From there, they normally migrate to forests at some time, and you can find them in large numbers. When you go in March, April months before monsoon, if you go, you can find large number of these species migrating into forest. Another species is called Hydrophylax malabaricus. The Malayalam നമ്മുടെ മണവാട്ടിത്തവള എന്നാ പറയുന്നത് മലബാർ മേഖലയിലൊക്കെ ഇത് മണവാട്ടിത്തവള എന്നാ പറയുന്നത് നമ്മുടെ വീടുകളിലൊക്കെ കാണുന്നതാണ് വീടുകളിലൊക്കെ കാണുന്ന ഒരു സ്പീഷീസ് ആണ് സന്ധ്യ രാത്രി പുറത്തിറങ്ങി പോകുന്നതാണ് വീട്ടിൽ നിന്ന് and in evenings mornings they get into home, so they are normally a regular sight for children because they get into balconies and all somehow, and you can see in the night, in the evening when you're going to light the lamp, you can see that they are getting out of home, so they're going out to hunt insects and all. So it's very common species, highly adapted to urban life. And this is, as if I said, Indosylvirana aurantica. This species is distributed in Trivandrum district. This photo was taken by me from Vellaini Lake actually. Now, this is another interesting species called as Microhydras. They're called as narrow mouth frogs. And these species also is found in urban areas in a little diversity there in urban areas. Some species called in Microhydras and all are found in urban areas. Another species like Melanobatrachus, Upodons, and Mystilus, they are found in high altitude forests. And this is a species called as Upodon triangularis. This photo was taken from Bukod, I believe. And these are their representatives. What is the important feature of this frog is that their mouth is very narrow and they exhibit little sexual dimorphism. Sexual dimorphism is you cannot differentiate males and females. They both look similar except for the size, because in that case, always the females will be larger. Except for that, it's very difficult to differentiate the males and females. But all other frogs, they are striking color variations and other features which easily distinguish each other. So this is a Melanobatrachus indicates this is called as galaxy frogs. This is Upron globulosus. This is like it's a burrowing species that comes out in monsoon or retrieving monsoon. It's a burrowing species, comes out when monsoon strikes in Kerala, or when the monsoon comes, they lay eggs, tadpoles hatch out, and this species burrow inside the land after the eggs. This is another species called Microhydra rubra. Microhydra rubras, ornatas, you have Nilapayam, which was a species described by me, but I described the species from Bangladesh actually, not from India. But that species was also found in Kerala. And these are all normally found in urban areas or rural areas, not much you have to go to higher. And this was a recent discovery. Frankie, this was a recent discovery, and this is interesting. So these are microhylids, that is genus of microhylids normally easily found in Kerala. And this is a frog species. We are now, I think I have almost covered the covered the common species found in Kerala. Now we are going to a group of genus which is called as ancient endemic lineages, because these lineages was there in India. I mean, there in India for quite a long time. They are not recently diverse one. They are called as ancient endemic lineages, and one of that lineages is called a Ranixalidae. This group Ranixalidae, or the family Ranixalidae, consists of two genus called as Indirana and Walkerana. This is a very familiar species of frogs to me, because I studied these frogs from 2008 to 2014. And this is the species which funded my all frog and other exploration trips to much of the Western Ghats and because type specimens of the different places I could go, all because of this frog. And this species is called Indirana serojama. This is found in Ponmudi area. We have now in Kerala we have 11 species in two genus, Indirana and Walkerana. This is a very interesting frog species actually, and very difficult to differentiate because they are ancient endemic lineage, so that they are very efficiently converged morphology. So you require a very seasoned eye to distinguish two species in symmetry. So it's a very difficult group of frog species. These are the two genus representative, Indirana paramakri and Walkerana leptodactyla. Walkerana, only 3 species are reported from Kerala: Walkerana leptodactyla, Walkerana diplosticus, and Phrynoderma. Phrynoderma is a toad-like frog species from Kerala, found in Parambikulam and high altitudes of Irrigula National Park and all. And Leptodactyla is found in a high altitudes of Irrigula National Park. Now, I again want to put a query to you. How many species are there? Can you just put a chat box? How many species are there? One, two. Nandana says 1, 2. Amargula says 1. Nakshara says 1. Choma says 1. Advin says 2, 1. And I wonder how come 2 species come. Either it can be 1 or it can be 3. Yeah, it's 3. So how the Govindas made the goal? It is 3 species, not 3 species. It's actually 1 species. These are all 1 species called as Walkerana leptodactyla, and these 3 species were found from the strange stream of Irrigula National Park. This is pattern difference in color and pattern difference in though racoporids are known to be having much color and pattern divergence. These are known to be seen in other species also, like ASV breeding combination. But there's striking pattern variations which are found, because this is on the dorsal pattern is completely yellow in color. This has a mid dorsal stripe, and the other one has no stripe. So this is what makes annual taxonomy actually challenging and also interesting, because they have color variations, they are not easily identified, they have behavioral variations, they show some very interesting, fascinating behaviors which make you watch them again and again. So this is one specialty of Indirana frogs, because you normally know that all tadpoles are not found in stagnant water, or not all tadpoles are found in running water. There are some tadpoles which are semi-terrestrial, because Indirana frogs, they lay their eggs on vertical rock surface. Rock surface, tickling film of water rock surfaces. See, this is a male which has a large tibanum. This is a female. This is a breeding plumage color. Otherwise, this male and female will be of the same color. Since it is a breeding plumage, it has a large tibanum and color change. This is attached to the vertical rock surface, which is, Western Ghats always, the mountain or the vertical rock surface always has a trickling film of water, because we have received continuous rains. And this egg, it hatches out into a tadpole from inside. This is an egg actually. It has developed into a small tadpole. And this tadpole, when it comes out, it is like this, and it will be moving on to the trickling fins or the vertical surfaces, and slowly it starts developing the hind limbs first, and then forelimbs, and then they grow, and slowly the tail is being cut off. And they spend their entire life as tadpole on this vertical rock surface. They don't go into water. So this has a very interesting thing also. This is one of the species that can be eliminated easily, because if the monsoon is fluctuating and doesn't come as regular, it doesn't have a regular rainfall, continuous rainfall, the vertical rock surface can dry off and the tadpoles can die off. So climate change can have a very high impact on this species of frog. Another interesting species is called as Nyctibatrachidae, because I think much of you would be when you go to field, when I catch the frog, I say it is like a halwa, because it is very difficult to catch, because this frog is always half submerged in water. It is very difficult to catch the frog from water because it is very slimy, and that is a feature of the anurans also. Frogs in differentiate in a feature of the frogs moist skin respire, and it will be very slimy also. So you cannot catch the frog from water. And these are night frogs. They become active at night and they cry so loud. The sound of the frog is so loud, you actually get afraid. What is that call actually? Is that a different animal or something like that? And the calls are exceptionally loud. This call is exceptionally loud because they are spring frogs. Because when they have to send out a call to the male, it is always difficult to attract the male because there is always a sound of the string. So they evolved to have a sound which is much higher in amplitude actually. So they are called as night frogs, and strawberry dog frog is a recent species described from that. There are 24 species of frogs in 2 families and 1 genus. Astrobatrachus is a recently described genus by Viju et al. And the other genus called as Nyctibatrachus. So this species is always water dwelling. And these are the 2 genus, Nyctibatrachus and Astrobatrachus. This was recently described by Vijay Kumar in recent description 2017. And one of the interesting thing of this frog species is that always there is some amount of parental care shown by frog species. They always care for their individual. Though some frogs they raise, but they always raise their eggs in a suitable position so that tadpoles are hatching out safely or the froglets hatch out safely. You can see that Raccophorus is like the gliding frog called as Raccophorus malabaricus. Other the overhanging leaves like overhanging leaf in the mold when it forms almost of this size, the tadpoles can directly go into water and they are safe from other predators. The female is going and laying eggs. The male facilitates, male pushes the eggs from this one and other. It is the male frog, female. The male is guarding the eggs. So there is some amount of parental care always shown in all frogs, and Nyctibatrachus is known to show high amount of parental care. And this also is that this frog goes into water, it comes up onto the leaf again so that the eggs are being made wet again and again. The eggs doesn't dry out. So that is the duty of the male parent. Male parent eppolum vellathe poyittu ee elayude molle keri vannu ee ela nanichu kodukkum. Mutta eppolum wet aayirikkan vendittu eppolum nanichu kodukkum. But there is a high degree of parental care shown by Nyctibatrachus genus of frogs. So this is an ancient endemic lineage aanu nammade Western Ghats il ഒരുപാട് കാലങ്ങളായിട്ട് സായിയായിട്ട് കാണപ്പെടുന്ന ഒരു ഫ്രോഗ് ജീനസ് ആണ്. ഏറ്റവും ഇൻട്രസ്റ്റിംഗ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള കാര്യം ഇപ്പോൾ മനസ്സിലാക്കുന്നത് വെച്ചാൽ ഒരു ഫ്രോഗ് ഒരു സ്പീഷീസിൽ നിന്ന് വേറെ സ്പീഷീസ് ആവണമെങ്കിൽ നമ്മൾ വിചാരിക്കുന്ന മാതിരി 100 വർഷമോ 150 വർഷമോ 1000 വർഷമോ ഒന്നല്ല. ഇറ്റ് ടേക്സ് മില്യൺസ് ഓഫ് ഇയേഴ്സ്. ഒരു മോളിക്കുലർ ജെനറ്റിക്സ് പ്രാക്ടീസ് ചെയ്യുന്ന ആർക്കും അറിയാം ഒരു ബേസ് പെയർ ഷിഫ്റ്റ് ഉണ്ടാവാൻ ചിലപ്പോൾ 1 മില്യൺ വർഷം വേണ്ടി വരും. അതായത് ആ ബേസ് പെയർ ഷിഫ്റ്റ് എവല്യൂഷനിൽ ടേക്ക് പ്ലേസ് ചെയ്യാൻ അതൊരു നല്ല ഷിഫ്റ്റ് ആണെന്ന് മനസ്സിലാക്കി എവല്യൂഷണറി ഉൾക്കൊള്ളണമെങ്കിൽ ചിലപ്പോൾ 1 മില്യൺ വർഷം എടുക്കാം. അപ്പോൾ മനസ്സിലാക്കേണ്ട ഈ സ്പീഷീസ് ഒക്കെ എത്രയോ കാലം കൊണ്ട് നമ്മുടെ പ്രകൃതിയിലെ എന്ന കാലാവസ്ഥയ്ക്ക് അനുയോജ്യമായിട്ട് രൂപപ്പെട്ടുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുന്ന സാധനമാണ്. അപ്പം they are easy to get extinct but very difficult to save actually. This is another genus of called as Microhydras എന്നാണ്. അപ്പൊ ഈ ഫ്രോഗ് വളരെ അടുത്ത് ലൈം ലൈറ്റിൽ വന്നൊരു ഫ്രോഗാണ്. ഈ ജീനസ് പണ്ടേ നമ്മൾ ഈ ജീനസ് വെസ്റ്റേൺ ഗാർഡ്സ് ഉണ്ടെങ്കിലും അടുത്ത കാലത്താണ് ലൈം ലൈറ്റിൽ വന്നത്. ഇതിന്റെ പേര് ഡാൻസിങ് ഫ്രോഗ്സ് എന്നാണ് ആക്ച്വലി പറയുന്നത്. എന്താണ് ഇതിന്റെ ഡാൻസിങ് ഫ്രോഗ്സ് എന്ന് പറയാൻ കാരണം പലപ്പോഴും പലർക്കും അറിയായിരിക്കും. ഇതിന്റെ 17 സ്പീഷീസ് ഒരൊറ്റ ജീനസേ ഉള്ളൂ. ഒറ്റ ജീനസ് നമുക്ക് വെസ്റ്റേൺ ഗാർഡ്സിൽ മിക്രസാലയുടെ ഒറ്റ ജീനസ് ഉള്ളൂ മിക്രസാലസ് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ. അതിനകത്തുള്ള 17 സ്പീഷീസുകൾ വെസ്റ്റേൺ ഗാർഡ്സിൽ റിപ്പോർട്ട് ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ട്. 17 സ്പീഷീസ് ആർ ബീൻ റിപ്പോർട്ടഡ് ഫ്രം വെസ്റ്റേൺ ഗാർഡ്സ്. അതിനകത്ത് മിക്രസാലസ് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞ ഒറ്റത്തിന്റെ അകത്താണ് 17 സ്പീഷീസ് ഉള്ളത്. അപ്പൊ ഇത് എപ്പോഴും വെച്ചാൽ ഇവര് ടോറന്റ് ഫ്രോഗ്സ് ആണ്. അപ്പൊ ഇത് ഡാൻസിങ് ഫ്രോഗ്സ് എന്ന് പറയാൻ കാരണം ഇവരുടെ കാണിക്കുന്ന കുറച്ച് ചേഷ്ടകളുണ്ട്. which makes us feel that the frog is dancing. why they do that? Another reason because the torrents, they are living very torrents, strong Western torrents, very strong flowing springs which has high sound. So they have developed streaking sound. Matte frogs calls they streak. So streak sharp they don't call like Pseudopilotus vinalis. Matte frog call sharp streak sound so that its mate is been heard. They have developed a strategy that they know the torrent sound of the sound of the torrential streams are too high to the streaks to overcome. High monsoon, they may not be able to get this sound to their mate. So they have developed a technique called as foot flagging. Foot flagging is that you know that when an airplane or a helicopter starts from a runway, there is always a flagging technique because the sound of the helicopter or the airplane is so high that you cannot give a sound signal for the direction of the helicopter or airplane. So what they do, they have two flags in the hand. They show the flag to one side and another side to direct the aeroplane. In similar way, this frogs has learned. I mean, maybe we learned the technique from this frogs. So they have a behavior of lifting their legs, and they show the patterns in the legs in different styles. And I don't know whether these patterns have been studied in the high low. So they do this to compete with other males also, and also to attract the males. So that's why they are called as dancing frogs. And this was a recent paper, but I know this. There was something that is the tadpoles are said to be fossorial. Chrysalis species tadpoles. This photo I actually took it from Irregular National Park, Deep Into. You see, apart from other frog tadpoles, this tadpole looks like something like a lizard or salamander. And when you touch the tadpole, unlike other tadpoles, the tadpoles are very strong. You look at its tail, the tail is a very strong tail with strong vertebral collections in the tail. And the tail fin is, unlike other tadpoles, the tail fin is also very slow. But I always thought at that time that why is this tadpole like that? Why is it so strong other than compared to other tadpoles? And but until a recent paper came which say that these tadpoles are fossorial. Because once an egg is laid, the tadpoles hatch out. Eggs are normally laid into torrential streams. The males and females, the male are more laid into the female, and this is called as amblex. Amblex, all those species, the position of amblex is different. According to that, the amblex in a pala we don't have time to discuss about it, but we'll come up. We need another section for that. And these, once the eggs are being fertilized, these female lays eggs in the side of the streams. So, 10 centimeter deep, they lay their eggs. From that, the eggs, when it is an ambient time and temperature comes up, the eggs hatch out into tadpoles. And this tadpole has a behavior of, they are fossorial. They dig in deep into the soil and bury them. They bury there until there is a favorable condition for them to emerge out. And there is a recent paper study which says that there are some tadpoles which can bury up to 120 years. And I don't wonder because I have seen these tadpoles. Normally, it is very difficult to catch them, and secondly, because they are very active, they are like what you call, they are like eels. They just they don't have a sharp snout. They just push into the soil and dig deeper into the soil. Whenever you dig them out, they again try to go into gravels and into the deep sands. So they have this interesting behavior. So all ancient endemic lineages of frogs are always show some interesting behavior because they have been in this Western Ghats for millions of years, and they have evolved techniques to get adapt to the torrential streams and different conditions of floods and other things to survive in this thing. So it is always interesting to study ancient endemic lineages. Now this is a star frog which has been many people since its description in 2003. Many people have been after this frog. So this frog is one of that received a lot of limelight, and still it is in limelight. Many people are working on that, and many people focus their work on that because the species has some charisma which these people also try to keep it. And one of the interesting thing of this frog is that these frogs are burrowing actually. They spend much of their life, or spend 90% of their life burrowing, and they feed on smaller termites and smaller earthworm-like things deep inside the soil. They can go into some 4 to 5 feet deep into the soil. They can burrow down. So you can see that their metatarsals are so strong that they dig with their back legs, hind legs, deep into the soil, deep into the ground, and they can survive in the ground about 90% of the time. And they come out by when in Kerala scenario, when they are found in Kerala extremely extensively throughout Western Ghats. Some I reported that some 300 feet above, like comes to up to 1,000 feet, are seen, and they live they always associated to the fast flowing torrential streams. They dig this one around these streams actually. ഒരു പ്രത്യേകത ഈ ഫ്രോഗിന് ഉള്ളതെന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ they come out normally in summer season. They start actively calling from deep inside the ground, their hollows deep inside the ground. They start calling by the end of the May. By the end of the May, when the monsoon is coming to start, and with the first monsoon showers, the males and females come out. They mate and they lay their eggs. So that's one of the interesting. And only one of the interesting thing is that we have only one species in one genus and one family in Western Ghats. And recently, another species called Gopalan was described from eastern slopes of Western Ghats. And this described recently within 2 years, in 2017 it was described, and that contributes another one species to Western Ghats, but they are not found in Kerala because it is the eastern slope of Western Ghats. Tamil Nadu slope is described. Kerala is species This frog, this was one of the highest impact papers that came, and one of the what trendsetter in Western Ghats amphibian taxonomy, because after this frog species paper came out, people started following. In a large scale, people started using molecular phylogenetics and they started looking at the molecules, DNAs of the frogs. Because when this frog was described, what the authors did that they isolated the DNA and they sequenced the genes, and when they compared, they found that this frog has no relatives in India. And they found the closest relative of this frog was from Zooglosidae. I mean, from the closest relatives of frogs was from seashells. Seashells are the closest relatives of it, and this frog has the closest relatives called another family called as Zooglosidae. And another interesting thing is that when I look at the Zooglosidae frogs, they are almost like tree frogs. They're small in size and they are not burrowing. When you look at the DNA, you can see that Nasica is quite huge frog compared to those frogs, and they are burrowing in nature. And another interesting thing that paper came out is that they could coincide this was the Gondwana continental concept, and this is explained using this frog. This frog can say how the Gondwanan concept came to play, and how this frog came from the Madagascar and the other continent islands to the Western Ghats. Those interesting findings. Are ഈ ഫ്രോഗിനെ അതല്ലാതെ ഒരു പുതിയ ഫാമിലി ഓഫ് ഫ്രോഗ് കേരളത്തിൽ നിന്ന് കണ്ടെത്തിയെന്നല്ലായിരുന്നു ഇതിന്റെ ഇമ്പോർട്ടൻസ്. ഇമ്പോർട്ടൻസ് എന്താണെന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ സൂഗ്ലോസിഡേ എന്നൊരു ഫാമിലി ആയിട്ടാണ് ഇതിന്റെ പ്രോസസ് റിലേറ്റീവ് കണ്ടെത്താൻ പറ്റിയത്. ഈ ഫാമിലിയിലും സൂഗ്ലോസിഡേയും കമ്പയർ ചെയ്യുമ്പോൾ കേരളത്തിലുള്ള നാസിക ബട്രാക്കസ് ബറോയിങ് ആണ്, അവർ വലിയ ഫ്രോഗാണ്, പർപ്പിൾ കളറാണെങ്കിൽ സൂഗ്ലോസിഡേ നോക്കുമ്പോൾ ഫ്രോഗ്സ് ആണ്, അത് ഷ്രബ്സിലും ഒക്കെ ജീവിക്കുന്ന തരം ഫ്രോഗുകളാണ്. അപ്പൊ എത്രയും മോർഫോളജിക്കൽ വേരിയേഷൻ ഉണ്ട് പ്രോസസ് റിലേറ്റീവ്സ് ആണെങ്കിൽ. രണ്ടാമത്തെ കാര്യം നമ്മളെ ഗോണ്ട്വാനൻ കോണ്ടിനെന്റൽ കൺസെപ്റ്റ് എല്ലാവർക്കും അറിയാം. ആദ്യം നമ്മുടെ എല്ലാ കോണ്ടിനെന്റ്സും ഒരുമിച്ചായിരുന്നു, അവിടുന്ന് പൊട്ടിയാണ് ഇന്ത്യൻ ഭൂഖണ്ഡം വന്നിട്ട് ഏഷ്യയിലേക്ക് ഇടിച്ചു കയറുകയുണ്ടായിരുന്നു. അപ്പൊ ഒരുപാട് കാലം ഇന്ത്യൻ ഭൂഖണ്ഡം ഒരു ഐലൻഡ് മാതിരിയായിരുന്നു. ഐലൻഡ് മാതിരി വന്നിട്ട് ഏഷ്യയിലേക്ക് ഇടിച്ചു കയറിയപ്പോഴാണ് ഹിമാലയാസും വെസ്റ്റേൺ ഗാട്സും ഒക്കെ ഫോം ചെയ്തത്. അപ്പൊ ആ വന്ന ചേഞ്ചസിൽ ഈ നാസിക ബട്രാക്കഡ എന്ന ജീനസ് അതിന്റെ മോർഫോളജി എല്ലാം മാറ്റി ഈ കണ്ടീഷൻസിലോട്ട് അഡാപ്റ്റ് ചെയ്യുന്ന രീതിയിലേക്ക് മാറുകയാണ് ചെയ്യുന്നത്. കാരണം മുമ്പേ ഇവരെല്ലാം ഈ സൂഗ്ലോസിഡിസും നാസിക ബട്രാക്കഡയും ഒക്കെ നമ്മളൊരു 500 മില്യൺ വർഷം മുമ്പേക്ക് നോക്കുവാണെങ്കിൽ ഇവരെല്ലാം ഒരുമിച്ച് ഒരു കോണ്ടിനെന്റിൽ കഴിഞ്ഞവരാണ്. അവിടെ നിന്ന് ഇന്ത്യൻ ഉപഭൂഖണ്ഡത്തിൽ കുറച്ചു കാലം ഐലൻഡായി സഞ്ചരിച്ച് പൊട്ടി രണ്ടായി വിഭജിച്ച് ഇന്ത്യൻ ഉപഭൂഖണ്ഡത്തിൽ സഞ്ചരിച്ച് വെസ്റ്റേൺ ഗാട്സിലേക്ക് വന്ന് വെസ്റ്റേൺ ഗാട്സായി മാറി ഇവര് അതിന്റെ കൂടെയാണ് ഇവർ മോർഫോളജിക്കൽ വേരിയേഷൻസ് ഒക്കെ വന്ന് തീർത്തതെന്നാണ് നമ്മൾ മനസ്സിലാക്കുന്നത്. ഇത് നോക്കി അറിയാം ഈ ഫ്രോഗിന്റെ ഒരു ബ്രീഡിംഗ് ബറോയിങ് ബിഹേവിയർ ആണ്. I don't know if something is coming out. Video is not playing somehow. It was actually a video where it shows the burrowing nature of the frog. The frog and another interesting thing is about the tadpole. This tadpole is found in torrential streams. And the tadpole is a sucker mouth parts. The dorsal side, I mean anterior side mouth parts is like suckers, so that they can attach to the strong flowing waters and rock surface to attach in. When you go to it and try to touch the tadpoles, it releases the sucker and it goes down with the strings and get attached to the rock surface again. So that is an interesting behavior. That, they have an ability to suck and keep hold to the rock surface, and they feed on the small algae and other phenomenons on the rock surface. And when you try and when a predator approaches, the immediate action of this tadpole is that they release their suckers, and when they release the suckers, automatically the water carries them downstream, and the predator will not able to take them out. So this is a thing which I tried the ability of the sucker of the tadpole. I got one tadpole and I kept my finger with gloves on the tadpole. I used always gloves to catch it because I will explain why I use that. When I handle especially these endemic species and all, I normally take gloves in the hands. Especially when I think I'm going to release back these tadpoles or this frog back to the habitat, I always use gloves. I'll explain why I do that. So this is an ability of the tadpole. It can hang on to my gloves, and such a powerful sucker it has. So this is another important behavior. Interesting thing I found out that there was a light colored tadpole. Normally the tadpole is somewhat similar to the color. They camouflage the habitat of where they survive, but these are light colored tadpoles compared to this one. So it was an interesting observation that we made from Walchal, actually. Light colored tadpoles of Nasica. So with this, I think I have brushed through whole variety of amphibian diversity in Western Ghats, or Kerala part of Western Ghats. Actually, in Kerala, water species. Though I could not go to individual species and explain because it takes a lot of time. I have brushed through all genuses actually and tried to explain what are the interesting behavior and characters they exhibit. So why do we need to save these amphibians? One of the things is that we know that always all species have some amount of ecosystem services they deliver to mankind. Frogs, they feed on many harmful pests and mosquitoes and other things, and they have some ecosystem services provided to mankind. That is in the terms of ecosystem services. When you look at the indicator, frogs are one of the beautiful indicators that you can look at. This is a frog called as Gattisalis astrops. Astrops, because they called astrops, because when you look at the eyes, you can see it's like star-like, asterisk-like. So that's why it's called as astrops, Gattisalis astrops. They live in high altitude sholas, like some 1,500 meters above sea level, deep into sholas they live, and they live in burrows like things, normally the holes and all the shadows. So that's why they have, I always said that all burrowing forms, they live in darkness, they normally exhibit bright and green colored eyes, because they need to see each other actually, at least. So this was one of the interesting thing I noted. When I catch the species and when I tried to bring it out of the shola, I could see that the water will get weak, because euthanization temperature for this frog is some 32 to 33 degrees. So euthanization temperature, the frog cannot tolerate an increasing temperature. So all frogs are very sensitive to climate changes, especially the rise in temperature. Rise in temperatures, fluctuations in climate, they are very strong indicators. You can find that frog populations are being wiped out at some place when temperature rises up, when there is a lot of anthropological activities, especially happening in urban areas. I said there is a lot of species in urban areas. Like if you actually check around your home side, you could find some 10 or 15 species. If you look at their calls and different this one. But it takes time, and you need to get a little bit experience with this frog to identify those calls and identify different species. It takes time actually. But when you say there is 10 to 15 species of amphibians around your home, and you are not able to note that, you should always think of the fact that all anthropological activities that you are doing, when you are trying to remove grasses, when you're trying to cut down trees, when you're trying to remove shades, when you're trying to lay bricks or hollow blocks or in your gardens and all, we are always doing some activities that are going to harm these talking wildlife actually. So this is one of the things that affects the frogs as well, because we are thinking about wetlands where there is a lot of Microhydras type frogs like Minavarias, Indosilviranas, Oplobatracus, Eucalyptus. These all species are all there in all urban ponds and rural ponds. So whenever you are filling a wetland, you are trying to destroy the habitat of this frog. And there is invasive species which these frogs are not aware of. When you introduce an invasive species, the invasive species doesn't have a predator for it, so it normally grows in large numbers, and it becomes a threat to the local endemic and local species available in that area. Second thing is the pathogens. So one of the greatest threat to amphibian diversity is the recent discovery of chytridomycosis. One of the fungus is there called chytrid fungus, which is a non-killer of amphibians. And what this fungus do is that this fungus normally gets onto the frogs underneath, because I forgot I had one of the video where you can find a frog taking up sweats and other gland secretions from its dorsal side and rubbing it into the other side, because the frog doesn't have a antimicrobial secretion on the underneath of it. Only it has a secretions on the dorsal side. Lateral side is only secretion. On lateral side there is no secretion. All secretions are comes up on the dorsal side. So frog takes its forelimbs onto the dorsal side, takes secretions from there, they rub on their hands, and then they rub it onto the lateral side. So this is then because they all pathogens normally enter into the frog through its lateral side, because dorsal side they have this antimicrobial peptides that they have been secreting to counter this pathogen and other microbial action. The recent chytridomycosis, the frog doesn't have an antimicrobial peptide counter the chytridomycosis. So the chytrid enter into the frog. It's a type of fungus. It enters into the frog. You know that frog's body, the skin is a respiratory system. Respiratory system, it exchanges the gases and also much liquids and salts. They exchange through this porous skins, which are inside. So what this chytrid does is that chytrids impact the skin and they make the frog a closed system. And our respirations of a closed area. This can, in a wide way, spread into a population of frogs in a particular area and eliminate out the entire frog species from that area. And they have done this in South America. A lot of frog species has got extinct because of the chytrid species. And in 2011, we had a study where we published that chytrid fungus was first recorded in Western Ghats. We found a sample from Polymorphism. And it was very worrying, and I took some time to realize it was actually before much processing, and I finally published that paper in 2011. And it was interesting to note that these all came from species which we introduced in our world. ഈ കൈറ്റഡ് ഫംഗസ് ശരിക്കും വെസ്റ്റേൺ ഗാർഡ്സ് ഇന്ത്യയിലും ലോകത്തെ മറ്റു രാജ്യങ്ങളിലൊക്കെ വന്നത് ഈ ആഫ്രിക്കൻ ക്ലോഡ് ഫ്രോഗ് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞ സാധനമുണ്ട്, സീനോപ്പസ് ലെവിസ് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞ സ്പീഷീസ്. അതൊരു മോഡൽ ഓർഗാനിസം. അത് വെച്ചിട്ടാണ് നമ്മൾ ഇതിന്റെ ടാഡ്പോൾ സ്റ്റഡീസ് ഒക്കെ നടത്തിയിരുന്നത്. അപ്പം ഈ ഫ്രോഗിന് എക്സ്പെരിമെന്റൽസിന് വേണ്ടിയിട്ടും പിന്നെ ഇതിന് ഒരു എക്കോറിയം എഫക്ട് ഉണ്ട്. കാരണം വെച്ചാൽ ഇതിന്റെ ഒരു ആൽബിനോ ഫോം കിട്ടും, which is an attractive thing for aquarium. So people bring the species into the aquarium. They put this into the aquarium or they put into the experimental tanks. But this species is very weird. The gravels and the they pull up the gravels and other small grasses and other things you fix into the bottom of the tank. So people get fed up and they throw this frog out of the tank. Once this frog is thrown out, it gets into our wilderness. And I think in 2011, a frog-like article came up that the frog was found in wild from Pune. So I was confident to publish the paper because I knew there was some illegal trade for this ornamental species or something like that, which introduced the chytrid fungus into Western Ghats. But though I found the species in 2011, I didn't find, though I've been traveling regularly to the Western Ghats, I never found that there's a high destruction done to amphibians in Western Ghats, or the chytrid fungus has not much impacted the amphibian diversity or population of Western Ghats. So with this, I will try to conclude my session. Thank you everyone for your kind patience. Thank you.
So any questions or doubts?
സുജിത്ത്, എനിക്കൊരു ഡൗട്ട് ഉണ്ട്. നമ്മുടെ കുളത്തവള എന്ന് വിളിക്കുന്ന സാധനം സാനോഫ്ലിക്റ്റിസ് ബാക്കി എന്തായിരുന്നു?
അത് നമ്മൾ ശരിക്കും കാണുന്ന രണ്ട് സ്പീഷീസ് ആണ് കാണുന്നത് ഇവിടെ കേരളത്തില്. രണ്ടല്ല, ശരിക്കും കേരളത്തില് 4 സ്പീഷീസ് ഉണ്ടെന്നാണ് പറയുന്നതെങ്കിൽ ഒരു സ്പീഷീസ് ഉണ്ടോ നമുക്ക് സംശയമാണ്. ഒന്ന് ഞാൻ നേരത്തെ പറഞ്ഞ മാതിരി പൊന്മാന്റെ ശബ്ദം ഉണ്ടാക്കുന്ന യൂക്കലിപ്റ്റസ് കരവാലി നമുക്ക് കാണാം. അത് ശരിക്കും മാംഗ്ലൂരിൽ കണ്ടെങ്കിൽ ഇപ്പൊ കേരളത്തിലെ എല്ലാ പച്ച കളറുള്ള തവള, അത് കേരളത്തിലെ എല്ലാ തടാകങ്ങളിലും എല്ലാ സ്ഥലങ്ങളിലും അതിനെ കാണുന്നുണ്ട്. രണ്ടാമത് ഞാൻ പറഞ്ഞത് നമ്മളെ സ്കിറ്റർ ഫ്രോഗ് ഉണ്ട്. നമ്മളെല്ലാം പറഞ്ഞ പണ്ട് ഈ ചെറിയ റോഡ് സൈഡിലുള്ള പൂൾസിലും പടിൽസിലും ഒക്കെ ഉണ്ടായിരുന്ന ഒരു സ്പീഷീസ് ആണ്. നമ്മൾ പണ്ട് അതിനെ ഒരുപാട് കല്ലെറിയൊക്കെ ചെറുപ്പത്തിൽ ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ടാവും. കാരണം ഇതിന്റെ കണ്ണ് മാത്രം വെള്ളത്തിന്റെ മുകളിൽ കാണും. യൂക്കലിപ്റ്റസ് സൈനോഫിലിപ്റ്റസ് അറിയുന്നത്. അതിന്റെ കണ്ണ് മാത്രമേ വെള്ളത്തിന്റെ മുകളിൽ കാണും. പിന്നെ അതിന് വേറൊരു പ്രത്യേകത ഉണ്ട്. One of the interesting thing is that it can leap out from water. Other than any other species, it can directly, because other than that, where is the species of kind of element chowking chada. But this frog species can leap out directly from water. വെള്ളത്തിൽ ഫ്ലോട്ട് ചെയ്തുകൊണ്ട് തന്നെ ഒറ്റ ചാട്ടത്തിന് കരയിലെത്താൻ പറ്റും. യൂക്കലിപ്റ്റസ് സൈനോഫിലിപ്റ്റസ് എന്ന സ്പീഷീസ് ആണ് ഈ സാധാരണ നമ്മൾ കോമൺ ആയിട്ട് കാണുന്ന കേരളത്തിൽ നമ്മൾ അർബൻ ഏരിയാസിലൊക്കെ ചെറിയ പടിൽസിലൊക്കെ കാണുന്ന സ്പീഷീസ് അതാണ്.
Sujith, can you hear me?
Yeah, tell me.
There's one question in the chat box. You were talking about the dancing frog, isn't it?
Yeah.
So one person has asked, can you play a video of this frogs dance?
I could, if you get me some more one more session, you could provide me, I could do that properly, because I had a video, but normally it was it is very time consuming to put sort all those videos and put into this PPT. So I couldn't put much of the videos into this, but if you put one more thing, I could provide it there, because I have 3 TV hard disks, 1 TV hard disk, so they are placed somewhere in all those things. I don't do those. It is available on net, that if you could just Google that, you could find. I think even I might have uploaded sometime. There are much people who uploaded this thing.
The comment
There's a question sir has asked, with so much of color difference in the same genus or species, what would you advise amateurs to develop their ability to identify frogs in the field?
One thing is that compared to other organisms, frogs are a little tricky to identify. One thing we normally do is that eppolum Western Ghats taxonomy പഠിക്കുന്ന എല്ലാവരും ശ്രദ്ധിക്കേണ്ട ഒരു കാര്യം വെച്ചാൽ നമ്മൾ വെസ്റ്റേൺ ഗാർഡ്സിന്റെ ഒരു ഡൈവേഴ്സിറ്റി നോക്കുവാണെങ്കിൽ ഓരോ ഫ്രോഗ് ഓവർലാപ്പിംഗ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള സെയിം സ്പീഷീസുകൾ വളരെ കുറവാണ്. അതായത് സിമിലർ ആയിട്ടുള്ള സ്പീഷീസ് ഓവർലാപ്പിംഗ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള സെയിം സ്പീഷീസ് വളരെ കുറവ്. അപ്പോൾ എപ്പോഴും അതിന്റെ ജോഗ്രഫിക്കൽ റേഞ്ച് ഓരോ സ്പീഷീസിനെ അറിഞ്ഞു വെക്കുന്നത് ഇമ്പോർട്ടന്റ് ആണ്. ജോഗ്രഫിക്കൽ റേഞ്ച് അറിഞ്ഞു വെച്ച് കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ അത് വെച്ച് നിങ്ങൾക്ക് കുറച്ച് സ്പീഷീസിനെ കട്ട് ഓഫ് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റും. രണ്ടാമത്തത്, യു നീഡ് ടു ഗെറ്റ് സം ലെവൽ ഓഫ് എക്സ്പെർട്ടൈസ് ടു ഐഡന്റിഫൈ ഇറ്റ്സ് കോൾ. ഈ കോളിൽ വേരിയേഷൻ എപ്പോഴും ഉണ്ട് ഓരോ സ്പീഷീസിനും, എസ്പെഷ്യലി ഇൻ ബുഷ് ഫ്രോഗ്സ്. ഇതിന്റെ ഓരോന്നിന്റെ കോളിൽ വേരിയേഷൻസ് ഉണ്ട്. അപ്പൊ അതാണ് ഏറ്റവും എളുപ്പം ഇതിനെ നോക്കി കണ്ടുപിടിക്കുന്നതിനേക്കാളും. നമ്മളെപ്പോഴും ഫീൽഡിൽ പോകുമ്പോൾ, കാട്ടിൽ പോകുമ്പോൾ എപ്പോഴും കാര്യം വെച്ചാൽ കോളുകളാണ് ആദ്യം ശ്രദ്ധിക്കുന്നത്. അപ്പൊ ഒരു പക്ഷേ ഫ്രോഗിനെ കണ്ടില്ലെങ്കിലും നല്ല സീസൺഡ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു ആൾക്ക് ഫ്രോഗിനെ കണ്ടില്ലെങ്കിലും ആ സ്പീഷീസിനെ ഐഡന്റിഫൈ ചെയ്യാൻ ബുദ്ധിമുട്ടുണ്ടാകും. ഈ കുഡ് ആക്ച്വലി normally all people who are experienced with frogs, they normally track the sound to identify the species rather than looking at the morphology.
Okay, so
other than things,
so for bird calls there is Xenocanto. So is there some site where we can like where can we learn it from?
I think one site is there published by Gururaj, where he has put some frog calls actually. I don't remember actually what is the site. There is an app actually. There is an app. I may get back to you, because there is an app where he has put out calls and sound.
Okay, so is there also an identifying?
Normally, I say to you, it will be very difficult initially to differentiate different sounds, but with some level of experience, you could differentiate them. Common species like Pseudopilotus vinodens.
Okay, I think somebody. Yeah. Aro, it on the app is called. Hari has said that the app is called Frog Find.
Maybe yeah, Frog Find.
So the next question is, how can we distinguish poisonous frogs from normal ones?
I don't know. Because in Western Ghats, one thing is sure, we don't have yet discovered any poisonous frogs from India. Actually, we don't have any poisonous frogs in India till now.
So what about the Todd, Choritavla?
Poison എല്ലാ ഫ്രോഗ്സിന്റെ മുകളിലും, എസ്പെഷ്യലി ടോഡ്സിന്റെ മുകളിൽ ഒരു പാരോട്ടിക് ഗ്ലാൻഡ് ഉണ്ട്. പാരോട്ടിക് ഗ്ലാൻഡ് സെക്രീഷൻസ് പുറത്തു വരുത്തുന്നുണ്ട്. ആ സെക്രീഷൻസിന് ഒരു തരം ആന്റി മൈക്രോബിയൽ ആക്ടിവിറ്റി. ചിലപ്പോൾ നമ്മളെ കയ്യിലൊക്കെ ഒന്ന് തട്ട് കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ ചിലപ്പോൾ നമുക്കൊരു ഇച്ചി ഫീൽ ഉണ്ടാവും. പക്ഷെ അതൊന്നും ഒരു പോയിസണസോ അല്ല ഒരു സ്ക്രാച്ചോ സ്കാർ ഒന്നും ശരീരത്തിൽ വരുത്താൻ പാകത്തിനുള്ള എഫക്റ്റ് ഒന്നും ഇതിനൊന്നുമില്ല. ബട്ട് ഇതൊരു വലിയൊരു റിസർച്ച് ടോപ്പിക് ആണ്, ഫ്രോഗ് സ്കിൻ സെക്രീഷൻ ആൻഡ് ആന്റി മൈക്രോബിയൽ ആക്ടിവിറ്റി. രാജീവ് ഗാന്ധിന്റെ സജീവ് സാർ ഒക്കെ ഇതിന്റെ മുകളിൽ ഒരുപാട് കാലമായി വർക്ക് ചെയ്യുന്നുണ്ട്. They have found out some interesting secretions, കുറച്ച് അങ്ങനത്തെ സാധനങ്ങൾ കണ്ടെത്തിയിട്ടുണ്ട്, which has some potential to be an antimicrobial peptide, antimicrobial activity ഓയിൽമെന്റ്സോ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ പലതരം ആശുപത്രികൾക്ക് ചികിത്സയായിട്ടുള്ള സാധനങ്ങളൊക്കെ ആയിട്ട് അതിന് പൊട്ടൻഷ്യൽ ഉള്ള സാധനങ്ങളാണ് കണ്ടെത്തിയിട്ടുണ്ട്. I don't know whether it has come up as a pharmaceutical drug, but they have the potential to be a pharmaceutical drug.
Okay.
So no poisonous alla, they are not poisonous. They have some itching sensors.
നമ്മൾ പൂക്കോട്ടിലേക്ക് പോകുമ്പോൾ അവിടെ ഒത്തിരി ടാഡ്പോൾസിനെ കാണത്തില്ലേ, those huge ones?
Huge ones are the tadpole of bicolored frog. Bicolored frog tadpoles ആണ്. ഏറ്റവും huge tadpoles bicolored frog ന്റെ tadpoles ആണ് ഏറ്റവും വലുത്. കറുത്ത കളറിൽ അതിന്റെ രണ്ട് സൈഡിൽ നോക്കിയാൽ കളർ ഓറഞ്ച് കളർ, രണ്ട് ഓറഞ്ച് they are identification feature of Clinotarsus tadpoles.
Okay. So what is the smallest frog found in the Western Ghats?
It is the Microhydra. Some say I think Microhydra are the world at the smallest frog, but Nyctibatrachus minimus are known at a very frog. Some 7 mm size. 7 mm size actually.
7 mm. Oh, that is too tiny. Okay, thanks. നമ്മളുടെ ഇവിടെ അത്ര വലിയൊരു ഇപ്പൊ കെയിൻ ടോഡിനെ പോലത്തെ ഉള്ള ഇൻവേസീവ് സ്പീഷീസ് ഇവിടെ ഉണ്ടോ, ഇവിടെ വന്നിട്ടുണ്ടോ?
ഇല്ല, നമ്മൾക്ക് അങ്ങനെ ഒരു ഇൻവേസീവ് സ്പീഷീസ് ഇതുവരെ വെസ്റ്റേൺ ഗാർഡ്സ് റിപ്പോർട്ട് ചെയ്തിട്ടില്ല. ശരിക്കും പറഞ്ഞാൽ നമ്മുടെ ഈ ബുൾ ഫ്രോഗ്, നമ്മുടെ എന്താ പറയാ വലിയ തവള, അത് ശരിക്കും മറ്റു രാജ്യങ്ങളിൽ ആൻഡമാനിലൊക്കെ അത് വലിയൊരു ഇൻവേസീവ് സ്പീഷീസ് ആണ്. നാറ്റീവ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള സ്പീഷീസുകളെ ഒരുപാട് കൊന്നെടുക്കുന്ന ഒരു സാധനമാണ്.
ഓക്കെ, താങ്ക്സ്.
സുജിത് സാർ, പ്രസൂണ. സാർ, ഈ ബറോയിങ് ഫ്രോഗ് നിക്റ്റിബെട്രാക്കസിന് ഇപ്പം നമ്മളെ ബറോയിങ് ടൈപ്പ് സ്നേക്സ് ഉണ്ടല്ലോ, ഷീൽഡ് ടെയിലല്ലോ, അപ്പൊ അങ്ങനെ എന്തെങ്കിലും പ്രിഡേഷൻ നടക്കുന്നുണ്ടോ, എന്തെങ്കിലും പഠനങ്ങളുണ്ടോ? സാർ, ഇപ്പം ബറോയിങ് ഫ്രോഗ് മാത്രമാണല്ലോ പുറത്തു വരുന്നത്. ഓ, ഹലോ. ഓക്കെ. ഈ ബറോയിങ് ഫ്രോഗിനെ ഭൂമിയുടെ അടിയിൽ പ്രിഡേറ്റ് ചെയ്യുന്ന ഷീൽഡ് ടൈൽഡ് പോലത്തെ സ്നേക്സ് എന്തെങ്കിലും പ്രിഡേറ്റ് ചെയ്യുന്നുണ്ടോ? അങ്ങനെ എന്തെങ്കിലും പഠനങ്ങളുണ്ടോ?
അങ്ങനത്തെ പഠനങ്ങളൊന്നും കണ്ടിട്ടില്ല. കാരണം ഷീൽഡ് ടൈൽസ് എപ്പോഴും ചെറിയ സ്നേക്ക് അല്ലേ. ബറോയിങ് ഫ്രോഗിനെ പ്രിഡേറ്റ് ചെയ്യാൻ മാത്രമുള്ള വലുപ്പമില്ല ഷീൽഡ് ടൈൽസ്. ഷീൽഡ് ടൈൽസ് എല്ലാം ചെറുതാണ്. ബറോയിങ് ഫ്രോഗ് ഇസ് ക്വൈറ്റ് ബിഗ്. ഷീൽഡ് ടൈൽസിനൊന്നും പറ്റില്ല. ഒരു ചേരമായിട്ടൊരു പാമ്പിനൊക്കെ അങ്ങനെ പിടിക്കാൻ പറ്റുള്ളൂ. ആൻഡ് ഇറ്റ് ഇസ് കമ്പയർഡ് ടു അതർ ഫ്രോഗ്സ് ഇറ്റ് ഇസ് ലിറ്റിൽ പവർഫുൾ. അങ്ങനെ പെട്ടെന്ന് പിടിച്ച് നിർത്താനൊന്നും പറ്റില്ല. മൂവ്മെന്റ് സ്ലോ ആണെങ്കിലും അത് നല്ല പവർഫുൾ ആണ് ആൾ. കാരണം അതിന്റെ ലെഗ്സ് എല്ലാം നല്ല ബറോയിങ്ങിന് വേണ്ടിയിട്ട് നല്ല ടാർസൽസ് എല്ലാം നല്ല വലിയ ടാർസൽസ് ഒക്കെ ആയിട്ട് നല്ല പവർഫുൾ ഫ്രോഗ് ആണ്. അപ്പൊ നമ്മൾ കൈകൊണ്ട് പിടിച്ചാൽ തന്നെ നമുക്ക് അതിന്റെ സ്ട്രെങ്ത് മനസ്സിലാവും. അതിന് അങ്ങനെ ഒരു ഷീൽഡ് ടൈലിനോ ചെറിയ പാമ്പുകൾക്കൊന്നും പിടിക്കാൻ പറ്റുന്നത് നല്ലതല്ല. എസ്പെഷ്യലി നാസികബട്രാക്കസും മൈക്രോഹൈഡ്രേറ്റ്സ് പൊട്ടോൺസ് ഒന്നും അങ്ങനെ എളുപ്പം പിടിക്കാൻ പറ്റുന്ന ഫ്രോഗ്സ് ആണ്.
ഓക്കെ സർ, ഈ നാസികബട്രാക്കസ് ഇവിടെയുണ്ടോ? ഇരവികുളം നാഷണൽ പാർക്കിലും അതിന്റെ പ്രസൻസ് ഉണ്ടോ?
അത്ര ഹൈ ഓൾട്ടിറ്റ്യൂഡിൽ കാണാൻ സാധ്യത കുറവാണ്. പക്ഷെ എന്നാലും ആ ഏരിയയിലൊക്കെ ഉണ്ടാവും. ഒത്തിരി ഒരു 1500 അടിയിലോട്ടൊന്നും കാണില്ലായിരിക്കും. മേ ബി ലൈക്ക് 1000-1100 വരെ കാണാം. 1000 ഫീറ്റ് വരെയൊക്കെ കാണാം നാസികബട്രാക്കസ്.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Somebody has asked, what is the peculiarities of purple frog or Nassicabatrachus?
Okay. See, Nassicabatrachus. One of the things important about Nassicabatrachus is that it is a burrowing species. Burrowing species means it burrows. It is found. It goes into the underground for almost 90% of its lifetime. When you take 1 year time, it comes out only for a couple of weeks, 1 or 2 weeks. Comes out, and it doesn't come out actually whole for 2 weeks. Like it will be in its burrows for shallow burrows near to the surfaces. It will be there for like 1.5 weeks. It comes out for 1 or 2 days outside. It comes out, breeds, lays eggs, and both males and females return back to the fossorial life. It goes underground again, and they normally, because this is found, this Nassicabatrachus sahyadrins is mainly found in Kerala. Their breeding activity coincides with our monsoon. It comes out normally by the end of May. By the end of May, they start coming closer to the surface. They start falling out. Once they start falling out, you can understand that rain is quite near. When the rain comes up, they fills up the streams. When the streams are some enough torrential activity in streams are there, they start breeding. They mate. Their legs lay eggs in the times of the torrential stream, and then they go out to the underground. This is one of the peculiar behavior that Nassicabatrachus exhibits, and the tadpoles are very interesting. The tadpoles have the ability to cling on to the bottoms of the torrential streams onto the rocks. They are camouflaged with the torrential stream rocks because they are suckers as their mouth parts, which gives them the ability to hold on to the rock surface. And when somebody approaches the tadpoles, they can release the suckers and they flow out along with the torrential streams. That is one of the interesting behavior of the tadpoles. Second thing is that the important thing of what made Nassicabatrachus star species is because that it had a connection with the closest relatives is in Zooglossidus. Zooglossidus, seashells are closest relatives. That connecting link and the Gondwana continent concept made it a star species. Anything more? Hope I played justice to the question you asked. Anything more?
Hello. So if it is
From your discovery, which is the poisonous frog?
I didn't get you actually. Once more, Advin.
So from your discovery, which is the poisonous frog?
We don't have poisonous frogs in India. We don't have any poisonous frogs in India.
So you were talking about
Okay, thank you.
Laciculatus. I was wondering what it feeds on, if it is hibernating or if it's under the ground.
It is not to feed on termites, small tadpole, like small earthworm-like beings, and other small insects which goes on the ground. Because
So
it
it
can
is
go up to 4 to 5 feet down into the ground. It is swallowed by roots and
Okay.
all it goes.
Oh, so the feed when they're underground, so they never come outside.
They never
to-
come out. They never come out.
Okay.
They never come out.
So normally during the hibernation, are you feeding in the hibernation സമയത്ത്?
Actually, there is not yet complete studies on how much time they spend underground and how much time they sleep. Not underground, how much time they go out feeding. But I think it was being reared in captivity for some time, and it is an active feeder, they say, which actively feeds on termites and other earthworms that has been provided to it. അത്രേ അറിയുള്ളൂ അതിനെ പറ്റി.
നമുക്ക് ഹൈബർനേറ്റ് എന്ന് പറയാൻ പറ്റില്ല. ഹൈബർനേറ്റിംഗ് they don't feed.
നോർമലി നമുക്ക് ഇവിടെ എല്ലാ ഫ്രോഗ്സിനും ഒരു ചെറിയൊരു ഹൈബർനേഷൻ വെസ്റ്റേൺ ഗാർഡ്സിൽ ഉണ്ട്. അതായത് നമുക്കൊരു സമ്മർ ഫേസിൽ നമുക്ക് ഇവിടെ ഉള്ള ഒരു ഫ്രോഗിനെയും കാണാൻ പറ്റില്ല. നമുക്ക് ബുഷ് ഫ്രോഗ്സിന് ഒന്നിനെ തന്നെ സമ്മറിൽ കാണാൻ പറ്റില്ല. ഇതെല്ലാം ഒരു ഹൈബർനേഷൻ പീരീഡിലാണ് ആ സമയത്ത്. They don't have much activity. രാത്രി നല്ല തണുപ്പുള്ള സമയത്തൊക്കെ ഹൈ ഓൾട്ടിറ്റ്യൂഡ്സിലൊക്കെ വന്ന് ഫീഡ് ചെയ്ത് പോവല്ലാതെ അങ്ങനെ ഒരു വളരെ ഹൈബർനേഷനിൽ തന്നെയാണ് നമ്മളെ ഫ്രോഗ്സ് എല്ലാം. പക്ഷേ ഈ അണ്ടർഗ്രൗണ്ടിലുള്ള ഫ്രോഗ്സിനൊന്നും വലിയ പ്രശ്നമൊന്നും ഉണ്ടാവില്ല. And we don't see that they come out weak. They come out stout and healthy and also they will be actively feeding in underground.
But so do they feed any of the aquatic organisms? Is that why they go into the water?
Aquatic organisms, I have seen scenes where they try to feed on dragonflies. Maybe they will. They don't submerge into water and go. They cannot swim along inside the water and try to feed on fishes and things. But occasionally they get. Frogs are carnivorous, and whatever occasions they get to feed on another individuals, they do that. There are some amount of cannibalism also exhibited by frogs. So they feed on everything, but aquatic insects, they are not good enough to go after aquatic insects and eat them. പക്ഷേ ഈ യൂഫിലിപ്റ്റസ് അങ്ങനത്തെ ഫ്രോഗ്സ് എല്ലാം ഇതിന്റെ മുകളിൽ വരുന്ന ചുണ്ടികളെയും മറ്റു സാധനങ്ങളൊക്കെ ഞാൻ പറഞ്ഞില്ല, അതിനൊരു എബിലിറ്റി ഉണ്ട്, അതിന് വെള്ളത്തിൽ നിന്ന് ഡയറക്റ്റ് പുറത്തോട്ട് ലീക്ക് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റും. നല്ലൊരു എമൗണ്ട് ഹൈറ്റിലേക്ക് അത് ലീക്ക് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റും, വെള്ളത്തിൽ ഫ്ലോട്ട് ചെയ്ത് നിന്നുകൊണ്ട്. അതുകൊണ്ട് അങ്ങനത്തെ ഇൻസെക്ട്സിനൊക്കെ പിടിച്ച് തിന്നാനുള്ള കഴിവുണ്ട്.
Okay. So can everybody come on, switch on your videos?
Switch on your videos.
Please.
Please, everybody switch on your videos. Rahul, Arun,
ഒരു സെക്കൻഡ്.
Arun CG. അനുവിനെ വിളിച്ചല്ല, അരുണിനെ വിളിച്ച.
Arun CG, okay. Somebody has raised their hand, Anjusha Kurian. Do you have, please unmute and ask the question if you want to. Okay, so I'm going to,
Anu,
yeah.
video on you.
Hello.
Yes. Video on you, please.
Oh, end of and okay, so we can take a quick picture of this videos, and then we can continue asking questions if there are more questions.
Please.
Okay, so for your information, there is no feedback form. So there is an email given. Please send your feedbacks in that email ID. ashivakumar@wwfindia.net. There is no form. So I think a lot of people are asking for the link. Smile. One more. Is there only one page? Okay.
No. Three pages.
രണ്ട് പേജ് ഉണ്ട് എനിക്ക് ഒരു പേജ് കാണുന്നുള്ളല്ലോ. Yeah, I can only see one page.
3 പേജ് ഉണ്ട്.
Total 67 participants ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു.
അതുണ്ട്, പക്ഷെ I can only see one.
എല്ലാം ഉണ്ടോ? 67 ഉണ്ടോ?
67 വരില്ലല്ലോ.
ഇല്ല, not all 60.
അതെ.
ഇല്ല, so many people have not put on.
Actually, there are three pages are there.
Okay. തീർന്നോ?
കഴിഞ്ഞു?
Kumar Cheta.
Yes.
Okay, I think there are no more questions.
Okay, Rahul.
Okay, how sweet ada? കേക്കോ സാറേ?
ഇതാ ഭയങ്കര നല്ല സെഷൻ, വെരി ഇൻട്രസ്റ്റിംഗ്. താങ്ക് യു.
Okay, so
രാഹുലോട് പോയി.
Rahul.
Okay.
A formal word of thanks for you.
ഹലോ പറഞ്ഞല്ലോ.
രാഹുൽ കട്ടായി പോയോ?
രാഹുൽ ഉണ്ട് അവിടെ.
ഹലോ പറഞ്ഞല്ലോ.
രാഹുലിനെ കാണുന്നില്ല.
ഞാൻ
പറയട്ടെ?
Okay, please.
പോയോ? I'll say thank you. Sujith, thank you very much for a very, very, very interesting session. We learned a lot, and thank you for clearing all the doubts as well. I didn't know that was very new information about the colors, that many variations in colors for a same species, and nice to know that you have been doing a lot of work on frogs. So thank you very much. Thank you, Senthil Chetan, for the introduction. Okay, that's it. Thank you everybody for joining, and see you next week for another topic.
Thank you WWF for such an opportunity.
Thank you.
Oh, this was really great, very surprising. Nalla rasam undaru. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sujith. Thank you so much.
Okay, Sujith, thank you very much.
Okay, see you guys next week.
Okay, see you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good night, everyone.
Okay,
Bye.
okay, good night.
Good night, everyone.